Jess Silver is the visionary behind Flex for Access Inc., a nonprofit for adaptive fitness and sport promotion. Through her platform, she's on a mission to increase sport participation for adaptive athletes. Jess joins me now. Hi, Jess. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Inka. Thank you so much for that introduction.
So, there's so much fun things happening with you. I know you just launched a book, but before we talk about your book, take us back to when you launched the organization and, why did you want to increase participation for adaptive athletes in the way that you're doing?
Of course. So, Flex for Access is a registered nonprofit organization, which I originally founded as a social media awareness campaign in May of 2015. And I wanted it to be a social media awareness campaign because I recognize that social media is such a viral platform that allows for so many different individuals and athletes to become part of a movement that I used social media as my platform. And originally, when I founded it, I wanted the organization, or back then, the social media awareness campaign, to be focused on CP awareness, the awareness of cerebral palsy, which is a physical condition that I have, which affects one's motor functions and ability to walk independently in my case. It differs and varies for every individual, but in my case, it affects my balance and my ability to walk on my own. And I felt that although it's a very common condition with over 70 million people affected globally, not many people know, in fact, know that it has variations in how it affects each individual. And I wanted to use sport as the avenue to increase awareness because I myself have been passionate about fitness and sport since I was a child, really, an avid basketball fan, and understand the game and have a passion for sports, allowing us to cope with adversity, and really understand all values of life. And for the last 9 years, I've been training at the gym, doing high performance training, and this allowed me to create and manifest many physical changes, but also emotional. And so I wanted to allow the community to understand that individuals that have conditions, as well as those like fitness professionals and the general community, should have access to fitness and sport as their way of managing their condition, and also understanding how we're all different, but we're all yet aligned with a passion and interest in sport.
I know you mentioned the part that we're all different, and I look at sport as something that unites all of us. It doesn't matter who you are. So, talk about that piece of sport and how important it has it been for you now during COVID.
Sport for me has always been the one thing that I turn to as a go to. And especially during COVID, for me, working out has been the one thing that has provided a sense of clarity and a sense of strength and allowing me to continually move forward, even though many of us at times have felt stuck during this unprecedented, unknown time. And I have felt that working out has allowed me to maintain my physical ability and also ensure that I feel well enough, both physically and emotionally. And it also has been instrumentally important for me in writing my book and in connecting to different people as well.
That's great. And you talk about your book, and a lot of it points to resilience and overcoming challenges and sport and how that has helped you through your journey in life. Can you talk about the resilience piece? I'm sure lots of people would like to know some of your experience or tips with being resilient and how that has impacted your life.
The book is called Run an Uncharted Direction, and it is available on Amazon for those who are interested. And for me, really, resilience has been um, my one word that has manifested my whole life journey because I was born with my condition of cerebral palsy, and I had to understand what that condition would mean for myself and for my family growing up as a child that has physical limitations and disabilities, but also, wanting to be part of mainstream society. And for me, I always felt that every setback has allowed
Mhm.
me to push stronger and to push harder and feel stronger. And so for me, resilience has really been the one word that has sort of encapsulated my whole life journey because every time I would get knocked down, whether it's was by a bully at school or through a physical limitation, something I couldn't do, and later in the workforce, and just on a daily basis due to my condition and the limitations that my condition would present to me, but the fact that I still wanted to get everything accomplished and achieved to the highest and my best ability. I had to be resilient and to understand what that would really mean from me, from both uh, a emotional perspective as well as a physical, uh, from a physical standpoint. So for me, sport and really the title of Run an Uncharted Direction is really, I felt that that was really adept to telling my story because the book is a memoir about my life. Um, and I comment on it saying that, we're all running this uncharted direction, this unknown path, and creating and building upon our destiny through the journey that our life becomes and is with the cards that we're dealt, but through what it is that the opportunities that we create for ourselves as well.
You're very inspiring, and the words you say are true. Especially, I look at this time when, for some people who are in the sport industry, some sports have stopped. Some athletes aren't training in their normal process, and some of us don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. So there's a lot of uncertainty. You talked about a lot of limitations, but it's how we respond to those challenges that's going to sort of get us through in the long run.
Yeah, and what I really understood for myself, and as a fitness consultant, and also somebody who runs an organization for adaptive fitness promotion and sport, what I tell individuals that I work with is that anytime that we're presented with an unknown and something that really is going to stop us on our marathon, I'm going to call it that, stop us on our marathon or stop us on our court of life, because again, basketball is the most important sport to me. Like, it's the sport that I'm most passionate about. I feel that life is like a court, and every time we're dealt with whatever it is that is in our way, um, we have a choice to drop another play and drop another strategy. And I find that adversity and really understanding resilience from a mental capacity and keeping ourselves strong and afloat mentally and surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals who are also athletes or sports commentators, or those individuals who have an affinity to sport, is one way that we can leverage resilience within each other.
Can you talk about your role in ensuring that people have the an accurate understanding and an accurate narrative of diverse athletes with different perspectives, different journeys, like yourself? I know you work with a lot of different community groups, but how important is that you're a part of that, changing that narrative of how people see athletes with different experiences?
So it's very interesting that you mentioned that. And lately with COVID, I felt that I've been saying that I have even more of a responsibility as the founder and executive director of an organization which I run, to be that voice, but not only to be the voice that says, individuals that have physical limitations and differences should have access to and the ability to train at local gyms and studios, or if now we're not going to local gyms and studios, to be able to understand how they can surround themselves and get to know like-minded individuals or professionals online, because the virtual space is the space that we're working in. I feel like I have a responsibility, a huge responsibility at that, because I am not only the founder and executive director, but I'm also somebody who has the lived experience.
Hmm.
And I feel like as a communications professional, that the only way the narrative can be accurately transcended is if it comes from the person who's the source,
Hmm.
and the primary source. And I feel like I am that primary source. So I wanted to tell the story from my own personal experience and to challenge the stereotype and also the perception, the common perception held that if an individual is in a wheelchair, they can't, for example, go to the gym and train like a mainstream gym. Well, where does that perception come from? And I feel like it comes from the fact that the educational piece isn't there. So, as the director and founder of Flex for Access, I had the responsibility to not only educate and empower, but also create the opportunity as well.
Your story and journey is so inspiring. We want to make sure people can find you and follow you. So, where can anyone that watches this interview or wants to find out more about Flex for Access, where can they go?
Sure, of course. So viewers and listeners can go to www.flexforaccess.ca. That's the nonprofit organization's website, where you will find what the organization does. And what the organization specifically does is it raises funds and awareness, but funds for the individuals that have physical challenges and injuries to be able to train at local gyms and studios. And what I'm increasingly doing is working with fitness professionals, strength and conditioning coaches, yoga instructors, for example, to create the opportunities virtually and remotely if gyms are not, open and running as they normally would, or eventually, hopefully, back in the gym, for the individual to be able to partake in training, adaptive fitness training, as well as also sports programs. And I can also be found on social media at Flex for Access on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As well, if people want to follow my personal account, they can do that. It's at Jess Silver with three S's and three R's. For those who are interested, my book is now available on Amazon. It's called Run an Uncharted Direction. I'm also available for bookings for interviews as well as podcasts if other individuals are also interested.
Yes, they should be telling your story. We're glad we were able to tell your story. Thanks for being an inspiration to me and everyone else in the sports community. We'll continue to follow your progress and good luck with the book launch.
Thank you so much.